Okay, recap for Friday 05/09/2025. Today was just a classic NFP dump, right? This is why I love NFP. It kind of normally always does this. If, if NFP starts bumping, more likely it's gonna dump. So that's why I was basically waiting for Friday mainly for my day. And I thought if we're gonna be on the lower side, we're gonna be around here. We're gonna dump to take these lows. But yesterday on Thursday, we just ended up going all the way up, filling this gap that I was talking about, and then also taking the highs, right? At this point this morning, and I looked at the chart, I'm like, okay, we're way overextended. I'm looking at everybody saying, yep, to all-time highs, whatever, we're going long. And I'm just looking at the daily chart and going to all-time high today, taking out all this buy side just seems like a waste, right? Don't make sense to me. Like, it's a waste. Like, even I'm always thinking, if I'm making the market, what would I do, right? And when I seen everybody basically was supporting the idea of longs, I was like, yeah, that means we definitely dumping today, right? So I stuck to my idea. So let's explain the levels, what I was thinking, and why I have whatever I have. I know the chart looks absolutely messy, but I'm gonna explain each level. Right? First of all, this is NFP. NFP does this and pumps, right? It takes sell side, sure, but if we're looking at the bigger picture, there is barely any sell side taken, right? So first I started marking out, I think by 9:15, that's when I came to the chart. I marked out the obvious sell side and buy side, right? This sell side, just an Asia sell side, and the buy side that we created recently. Cool. And then I got my daily levels, right? I'm looking for us to dump. So on the daily chart, I actually went to the weekly. I need to see what the weekly was doing, right? I can see as we took previous weekly low and the week before it, and then now we took previous weekly high and the week before it. There is just no way we're going there to take a third. Like, we're taking 5 weekly highs. No, that's not happening. We had to go back into the range. It's also Friday, so it's more likely for TGIF, right, for us to get back in our range. So that validated my shorts for the weekly. Then I went to the daily. I'm looking for a daily level. First I put this inverse fair value gap, but then I was like, no, let me leave that and get another daily level because the 4-hour gap was higher, right? So I put the volume imbalance for a daily level. Then I went for the 4-hour and put the inverse fair value gap for the 4-hour, right? So that was my main levels. And this is the previous weekly high, not just this one, like the week before it. Let me just show you. It's this high, right? So that's my high time frame narratives. 15 minutes, I'm looking mainly at how we treat this gap, right? That's for the 15 minutes. That's all I care about. And the liquidity. I'll put the liquidity down. Cool. Now that I have narrative, let me drop down to the 1 minute, right? And then the second that we open, I'm looking at our opening range gap, and I can see that we have a very large opening range gap. Could we open and disappear and like just go up to all-time high? Yes, that's possible. Do I expect it? No. What invalidates it? Us trading to the 0.75 of the opening range gap. Most likely we're not going to be gone, right? So that's cool. So now I'm watching us validate the shorts right here by going down here. Cool. I'm still waiting. I can see as we took buy side. You can see buy side is taken out, and we can see the second that just look how price acts, right? Or how it moves. Think about it. From here, we're just going up and up and up and up and up and up and up until previous weekly high. And then you can see the consolidation, right? That means, what does that mean when you look at that? We have reached our target. So if on the whole like higher time frame, if that's really our target, and then we have completed this market maker buy model, right? What does that mean? We could consolidate, we could continue, or we could dump. Consolidating on an NFP day, unlikely. Pumping doesn't seems like a waste after just creating all that market. So I'm thinking we go back into the range, supporting TGIF as well, right? So again, bias is building. I'm confirming everything, and everything seems right. So now what? I know for NFP, if you don't wait for 950, you're cooked. There's no point, right? Just wait till 950. Wait for the first macro, right? Do not trade until you wait for the macro. That's based on me getting absolutely cooked on other NFP days. So I just learned to wait till 950. So I want to see what price does. Cool. Goes all the way down. Says that we're dumping. Goes up, creates our first presented. I'm watching that. When it dumps here, it's 945. I'm trying to see if we're expecting this high, because this high goes and touches the previous weekly high. Then we go above it to the volume imbalance, right? And I don't care about getting the most perfect PD arrays where price reacts to. All I know from experience that if you get somewhat the right PD arrays, somehow, some way, you'll find them that they're clustered around each other, right? So for me, I'm not trying to bottom top tick, right? I'm trying to find an area where price is most likely going to react to on these lower time frames. If it's the volume imbalance, if it's something else that I didn't look, I don't really care. I just want us to confirm the idea we're going lower. As you can see right now, 950 candle, boom, macro started. We go up, we sweep the liquidity that we just taken. So anybody that went short here gets cooked. Boom, we actually displace lower, creating a big SIBI. And now I want us to see, are we finally respecting PD arrays to our bias? As you can see, we don't even reach the CE, and then we dump. The second that we start in our dump, I enter short, making sure I'm inside the first presented fair value gap. Because what would I want? I would want us to drop lower and then go back to it. But if we drop too fast, I know we could make a SIBI here. As you can see, we did. And we could basically miss it and drop from there rather than trading back to it. So I kind of early shorted it while we're going down to make sure I'm inside it, right? And then stop loss above this intermediate term high, which fills, because it fills a fair value gap, right? So nothing too crazy. Like the risk ain't too crazy, everything makes sense. 950, right? And then I'm trying to see what the drop is, right? Remember, normally there's two drops, dumps. I don't know about the pumps, but I kind of short and always short, so I don't really care about longs too much. But with dumps, I know there's two types of way when we're dumping. We're dumping with order blocks, or we're dumping with fair value gaps, right? So I'm trying to see, what are we dumping with? How do I know? I'm gonna observe the first three order blocks, right? So first order block, we don't go above the high. Cool. Second order block, once we leave it, we don't go above what? The high. Then from the drop, now I know where my stop loss is going to be. Trust me, this is the best way to use order blocks for trading stop losses, right? You can trust this anytime until the target is reached, right? I'll show you. So let's just explain the other levels, right? What do we have here? We have the initial sell side, which is the day low. So after taking that many buy side, we taking London buy side, we taking the initial buy side, we taking the data, like we taking all the buy side. What does that leave us with sell side? The data lows. Remember, we're also above midnight open, right? For shorts, it's best to short above midnight open, and if you're longing, it's best to buy under midnight open, right? So that also adds to the bearish bias, which is so high already, right? So why would we go higher? Cool. And 8:30 open price, they're both here. We're so overextended. Anyway, what's the target? This liquidity, data lows, Asia liquidity, and mainly is filling our large opening range gap, right? So this was my TP right there. I also had an extra TP, which is what price is likely to go to, is yesterday's sell side liquidity from the PM session. And as you can see, that was the target because we went to it, confirming that it's the target, go up and break the structure, go down to finally sweep. And once we stall like this, just know, once we go back above it, that's it. This area would be the low of the day. This is just the extra sweep, but that was the target, right? And as you can see, once we go back, we meander on because we got no more targets. That's it. We just have to close, just take some buy side, I guess, generate buy side, and go take it out in the PM session. Create for lunch, take the lows, and then take the highs. Nothing really to trade, if worth it, I'd say. Anyway, I think that's all the levels explained. Now, and the green one is just a new daily opening up. Alright, now that I explained the chart, let's get to the trade. So, how do you manage this trade? Again, wait for 3. 1, that's the order block. Like after 950, right? So cool. Yes, we're gonna use fair value gaps, but what's the stop loss? It's not the fair value gaps. It's gonna be the order blocks. So now my high is above here. I mean stop loss above here goes up. First presented fair value gap, kind of expected, but it could have just not hit it. So it hits it perfectly, and then drops. Right. Once it drops to this fair value gap, but it's supported by this order block, and then once it goes down, where do we put the stop loss? Now that there's 3 of them, stop loss instantly goes right there on top of that order block. And then once price goes down, creates an order block, right? Where do we see this? This goes to here. In like a 2-minute time frame, this whole thing would be like an order block, right? So this would be the proportion block, and then you just carry on and just put the stop loss above here. The second that price starts moving, it has to kind of move down like decently. Boom. Once it goes down, again, right there, once this order block is created and you've seen a bit of separation, like we're making some distance again, stop loss right here. And then again, it's the same thing the whole run. Like it will never violate the order block until we reach target. So as long as you believe we haven't reached the target, you would put your stop loss above the order block. If it's the order block dump, right? Sometimes it's a fair value gap dump, sometimes an order block dump, sometimes it's a mix of between two. But if you can notice which one it is, this is so powerful because you just trail stop loss, and you'll be very confident it will never breach it because it's dumping. It needs to go somewhere. So as you can see, and you can also pyramid if you'd feel like it. Well, that's not something I do. Anyway, dump again right here. That's my TP, right? I don't that like the extra extension. I don't care. I just like this. This is my lowest hanging fruit objective, so I took it. But let's say you want to keep a runner, right? Stop loss still above here because that's the last order block, and then again, you can see it goes straight to the order block and then dumps. It will never violate the order block, right? If this was just a fair value gap, no order block behind it, it could easily just violate it. It doesn't matter because this is an order block dump. And then again, once it creates it and then leaves it, separation, which means a gap, right? again, stop loss right here until when? Once it leaves it, right? So right here, oh, back. Then this one fully leaves it and close, right? Stop loss above the order block. It's getting a bit messy now. So like, you look at it this way, right? Boom, goes there, nothing leaves it, nothing leaves it. We're still in the range. And then, boom, there, we actually leave it. See that we're getting messier, that we're getting closer to the target because we're at the 0.75, right? We're closer to it. This is just signs that we're closer to it. Anyway, stop loss above the highest high for the this. Now it's a series of, it's a clustered, right? I wouldn't even really count this order blocks, but at this point, just high stop loss, right? And then again here leaves it. When I say leaves it, basically when it just looks like a fair value gap and you just closes again high on top of this order block, and then you can tell we're getting closer and closer to target. Boom, leaves it, separation, fair value gap, top and high of the order block, until we can see we hit our target. The second that we hit our target, that's the first violation right there. You see that? Like right, these, yeah, it doesn't leave it. It will go slightly down. We didn't actually have displacement below it. So once we hit the target, look at this. Boom. That to me is basically like the market structure shift. Don't care if it goes low, but that to me, that means like we hit our target. And notice the second that this is violated, I'm told, okay, target has been reached. Once we do the stall, like you can see, it's clear, right? Like we go under it, we stall, and then we go above it, and then go high from there, right? It's clear that this was the target, and this is just extra damage accumulation for us to like keep going, right? So we're gonna have to consolidate. Anyway, knowing that means you could long where I'd say long above once we invest this gap, right? And this is your, again, when you see it not working, like think about, oh, this is like now the order block and we displaced and then we went above it, right? You just know this right there is your truest change of state in state of delivery, right? Right there. And then if there was actually targets higher, like real targets, then yeah, it's cool to take a trade, but who would want to just sit in this meandering around to like thingy, right? So that's how I would use this type of dump. It probably happens on longs. I don't look for it on longs. I really don't like it. I like longs. I like shorting, and that's it. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to grow into the longs. But if you can observe what price is doing and what kind of dump is doing, it's so good for your stop loss placement and management. If it's a fair value gap, you're gonna have to have wide stop losses because it can just dump, and then come back up. But if price is not making really like them large gaps and it makes the gaps without creating order blocks, then you'll know. It happens a lot actually, but when this type of dump happens, beautiful. Anyway, that's the day. It was simple, I guess. I didn't even look at ES. What did ES do? Oh, YM, same thing, dumped. Yeah, this just dumped. Still an order block dump. But it just dumped. How about ES? Again, kind of looks like an order block dump. Not too sure. I'm not trying to zoom in too much, but it dumped as well. It dumped hella. Even took previous daily low. That's crazy. That's an SMT with these lows. So, what do I know? What do I think for next week? Personally, I still, if we can show the momentum to start dumping a bit more or weakness, of course I'm gonna look at these lows, these relative equal lows, and these relative equal lows for a target for next week, and just think of this whole range as consolidation, right? Like this whole thing for us to like dump. Now that, let's say you were short here, you're already out, and then the real move type thing happens. What could also happen is we could stop right there with that SMT and just reach all-time highs again. Then I would hate my life, bro. I hate all-time highs. I actually want us to be in decent price ranges, so I can have some good PDA rates to work with. But yeah, that's enough for the recap. Um, Kinda simple day, I guess, if you have the data behind it. And yeah, hopefully next time this exact day comes, or similar like NFP comes, I'm gonna just risk more because I've done my homework. Anyway, peace.